So right now, Bitcoin is actually looking like it's ready to actually break down and move towards the downside. And it looks like we're about to test this major support level that was previous resistance in 2024 and our previous resistance and all-time high in 2021. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at all the short-term scenarios, the medium-term and also the longer-term time frames. We're going to be deciphering what's likely to be happening next, if we're going to be hitting the support level, and of course, what's going to be happening after that. So I have a lot of charts and I have a lot of data pieces actually ready for you guys, and we're going to be going over everything that's happening in the short term, and of course we're going to be deciphering what's going to be happening in that longer time frames. We're also going to be looking at Ethereum coming in towards this major support level, and we're going to be seeing what's going to be happening next for Ethereum. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's go straight away into this banger. Bow. So right now Bitcoin's hovering just below $90,000, and essentially we're actually gearing up to actually test the support level since the price action is looking weak and the trends are down. So we need to be looking at this chart over here, which is showing that we're in a market maker sell model that's actually leading us in towards a bear market. You can see we had previous two ranges that actually led us towards the upside. We had a distribution phase, and it looks like we're in a range right now that's going to be leading us in towards the downside. But of course, we need to be assessing what's going to be happening if we actually break below and hit that major support level at $70,000. So of course, we've broken below the 50 EMA and SMA band, and it's looking likely that we are going to be retesting this at some point, since last cycle we've already retested the 50-week moving averages, and of course that's where we're leading towards a bear market. So right now it looks like we're heading in towards a support level first before we actually move up and bounce and hit that 50-week moving average. Just like I've mentioned in previous videos, I do think we will be testing this 50-week moving average at some point, since of course every single cycle before we've always come back to retest the moving averages before we've actually moved in towards the downside and in towards the major bear market. So in that short term, you can see we played out the scenario where we got a rate cut and we moved towards the downside. And of course, I talked about the scenario and I've talked about the fact that we're going to be moving towards the downside once we get a rate cut, since the previous two times we actually saw this happen already. Now, of course, the next major news event we need to look in towards is the Bank of Japan rate decision that's coming in about 2 days time from the time of this recording. So on Friday, we're going to be getting that rate decision. And of course, this can actually be really bearish for markets, since the carry trade is a major scenario that can be brought up to question, and of course can cause a lot of uncertainty and fear in the market. We can see that every time that the Bank of Japan's actually hiked rates historically, we've moved towards the downside. So of course it is likely that we are going to be continuing the momentum down, and we're going to be hitting our major support level, since of course every single time that this has happened we've moved towards the downside already. And of course, if you're looking towards the probabilities for a rate hike from the Bank of Japan, it's in and about 98% on Polymarket. So it's looking very likely that we're going to be moving in towards the downside, since of course every time that they've hiked rates we've seen fear in the market. And of course, if the US stock market is going to be selling off once we get this rate hike, I do think that Bitcoin is also going to be selling towards the downside. So looking at that short-term price action, you can see that we're in an ascending triangle that's already starting to break towards the downside after that continuation, and it's looking like we're going to be seeing some continuation taking this low, and we're going to be moving further down. So of course we can see this bear flag formation is about to confirm a 3-day candle close below this major support level over here. So of course, if we actually do that, I do think it's going to be confirmed for us to be moving further down. And of course, the major level to be watching is this obvious 70k support level that was previous highs in 2021 and our all-time high in 2024 before we had major resistance for many months. And then of course, this is the next level that I do think we're going to be moving in towards, where we're going to be getting a bounce. If we actually continue to move towards the downside, we're going to be sweeping our lows in early 2025, where we had the tariff scenario where Donald Trump was raising tariffs against other countries, leading to us coming towards the downside. And of course, we saw the Bank of Japan actually hike rates at the top there, which actually led to us moving further down, as you can see by this chart over here. And of course, if we look in towards the liquidation heat map, we can see that there's a lot of liquidity from 73,000 in towards 74,000. And you can see just below that at 70k as well, we have a lot of liquidity. So of course, this looks like we're going to be moving towards the downside and grabbing this liquidity. And it's likely that we're going to be seeing price action further down. So in terms of a trade scenario, I do think that if we actually continue towards the downside and test the support level first, that's going to be an obvious area where I want to be taking a long position in towards that 50-week moving average before we actually head in towards a bear market like I've highlighted. So of course, this is going to be a major level that I want to be taking a long position at. But of course, in the case that we don't actually get there and we just grab the liquidity at 74k and we just move further down, we need to be looking in towards the short term to be seeing what's going to be happening next. And of course, I do think that if we actually sweep this wick at 81k and we move in towards 80k and we reclaim the range again, then of course I'm going to be looking to be taking a long position as well, and I'm going to be targeting the 50-week moving average as well once we actually reclaim the range. So of course that's one thing that I'm going to be bearing in mind. If we actually deviate below this range and then we reclaim it, that's going to be an obvious scenario where I'm going to be looking for some RSI bullish divergence, and of course I'm going to be looking for a position to be taken towards the top side. If you look carefully, you can see we're already rejecting from the monthly open and we're losing this mid-range level. So of course if we continue to spend too much time below here, it is likely that we're going to be moving towards the downside, especially if we get a rate hike from Japan and the US stock market starts selling towards the downside. But of course if we actually move towards the downside and we don't reclaim the range, then I'm not going to be taking a long position over here. I'm going to be waiting for us to actually hit that 70k support level, and that's where I'm going to be looking for a position to be moving towards the upside. So you can see here I have my account ready on LBank, and I'm going to be taking a position on here since I'm going to be expecting us to be moving towards the downside very soon, and I'm expecting us to be forming a bottom very soon. So if you want to be trading for yourself, make sure to be clicking that first link down below, since you can be getting a massive 50% deposit bonus up to 2,500, and you can also be getting a $100 position voucher, and of course on your first trade you can get a generous refund of up to $5,000 if you do lose that position. So of course I will not be fading this amazing opportunity for a 50% deposit bonus and a refund on your first position given you lose it. So of course that's a major opportunity to be taken advantage of, and I will not be fading that if I were you. And of course on LBank you can see it's a great exchange with one of the cheapest fees, and you can be trading a lot of different coins. So you can see you can be trading a lot of different altcoins over here, and of course Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this is an amazing exchange offering great rewards, and of course if you're going to be trading already, you might as well take advantage of this amazing deposit bonus and a generous refund. And of course you can be trading on a nice exchange with cheap fees. Now looking at USDT dominance, this is another reason that I do think we're going to be moving towards the downside some more. You can see that the RSI on the weekly time frames actually tick towards the upside, and it's looking like we're spending a lot of time at this resistance level, so it means we're going to likely break it and move towards the upside. And if we do actually repeat history here and we actually move towards the upside, breaking that resistance level, then I do think we're going to be heading in towards a broader bear market. And of course we can actually break above here, retest it, and that retest we're going to be seeing a relief rally where potentially we're going to be testing a 50-week moving average before moving further down. But of course once we actually retest this orange line and we move towards the upside again, I do think that we're going to be heading in towards a broader bear market. And we have some signals that I've covered in yesterday's video. So the super trend flipping bearish, telling us the momentum is towards the downside, and also we have the monthly MACD actually bearish and tick towards the downside, indicating that we're going to be seeing downwards pressure in towards 2026. Not only do we have the momentum indicators telling us that we're going to be coming down, we can also look in towards the 4-year timing cycles, and of course we've reached the point where we're bullish, and we've reached the 1,065 days that historically we see upwards price action. And now we're moving in towards the 365 days where we actually going in towards the downside. And of course we're already about 60 days in, so for the next 300 days or so I do expect some downwards price action. But of course at the minute it looks like we can be moving in towards a major support level first, and then once we actually reach this level we can look for bouncing towards a key moving average where we're going to be moving towards the downside some more. Now looking at Ethereum, we're approaching this major support level in and around the 2,600 level, and it looks like if we actually reach this level, then I do think that we can be expecting some sort of a bounce where we actually take this wick towards the downside, and then we're going to be moving a lot higher. But of course Ethereum is very dependent on what Bitcoin is going to be doing, so if Bitcoin moves a bit deeper, it's possible we can deviate this before reclaiming it, and then that's where we're going to be getting a bounce. But of course in that short term you can see we're losing that 50-week moving average, and we're looking very weak for Ethereum, so it's possible that we can actually move a lot lower towards the downside before we get any meaningful bounces. And as for Ethereum versus Bitcoin, we've broken out of this 4-month downtrend, and of course we're now retesting it, so it's looking likely that we can actually move towards the downside before we see any Ethereum strength, meaning that Ethereum is likely to actually retrace a lot deeper than Bitcoin right now. And of course once we actually hit a major support level, or we move a lot lower, perhaps maybe towards this demand level over here, then that's where we're going to be moving towards the upside some more, where we can actually establish where Ethereum is going to be topping, which is likely going to be the bull market support bands, and then that's where we're going to be moving towards the downside again. But yeah, that'll be it from me. Make sure to also check that second link down below for my free community. I'm going to be sharing a lot of trades and a lot of alpha in there. I've already covered the scenarios in here that I'm expecting for the week if we actually move towards a downside. So make sure to be joining that free community where I'm going to be regularly updating you guys, especially when I do take that trade where we're going to be expecting a broader bounce in the market if we come and retest this major support level. So make sure to be checking that out. And also make sure to be following me on X to be staying up to date with all my updates. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Have a blessed rest of your day. Peace, guys. See ya. Bye-bye.